Susie was walking down the road one night in the countryside when she was surprised by hearing a phone box ring. She wondered who would be calling a public phone box, especially in the middle of nowhere. Well, it was near a bus stop, but besides that, no one was around, unless they were waiting for the bus, of course. She had decided to answer the phone when she was surprised to hear a man's voice. "Hello, is anyone there?" Susie said. "Hello, yes, I'm here. I'm sure you must have the wrong number. This is a public phone box." The man spoke again. "Oh, maybe I did call the wrong number, but thank you very much for answering and letting me know. I must say, you have a very nice voice. I am very sorry if I put you out of your way, but it was very nice to speak to you anyway. I guess you must be wondering why I'm calling a public phone box. Well, it was very nice to speak to you. I hope you're having a good night." Susie felt strange, a stranger calling a phone box, asking her was she having a good night, but she liked how he spoke, so replied, "Yes, I'm having a great night, thanks for asking. I'm just waiting for the bus to go home now." The man said, "Oh, I'm very glad to hear you're having a good night. So the public phone box is near a bus stop then, I gather." Susie was enjoying the chat with the man, but realised the bus was coming, so quickly said, "I'm very sorry, I have to go. The bus is coming. It was nice talking to you. Bye." The man said, "It was very splendid talking to you also. Bye now." Susie walked into the bus and felt happy for some strange reason. About the phone call, the man had left a good impression on her. She was wondering, was it his voice or what he said, and she wondered what he had looked like. When she got home, she told her sister Rachel all about it. "I was waiting for the 10 o'clock bus, and well, I was very surprised to hear the public phone ring in the phone box right next to the bus stop. I answered it, and there was this really sweet man on the other end. And, well, we had a lovely chat, but unfortunately the bus came before I could even tell him my name." Her sister smiled and said, "Wow, what age was he? I wonder what he looked like. Maybe he looked like a film star." Susie said, "I'm not sure what age he was, and of course I have no idea what he looked like, but he seemed so sweet." Rachel said, "Are you going to wait at the bus stop again tomorrow night to see if he calls? How do you expect him to call the same phone box again at the same time? It obviously was a wrong number he dialed." But the next night Susie made sure to be waiting for the 10 o'clock bus again, and was pleasantly surprised when the phone rang again. She ran into it and answered. "Hello?" "Hello, Susie. I am very happy that you were waiting for the bus again, and you answered the phone. I was hoping you would. I hope you're happy that I rang this phone again. Are you, Susie?" Susie said, "Well, yes, I kind of enjoyed speaking to you last night." The man said, "Well, that is splendid. Our feelings are mutual then. Tell me, Susie, is there anyone else waiting for the bus? Are you alone?" Susie said, "Yes, I'm alone. This is a very quiet road, you see. Not many people ever wait for this bus." The man said, "Oh, it must be in the middle of the country then, Susie, since not many people catch the bus." Susie saw the bus coming up the road and said to the man, "I'm sorry, the bus is here." The man said, "How about we continue our conversation tomorrow night? Same time, Susie?" Susie agreed. The next night at the same time, the phone rang again. The man said, "Susie, I'm not sure I even told you my name. My name is Fred, Susie, and do you know, I love your voice, but I would love to be able to put a face to that voice. How about we meet in person, Susie? Would you like that?" Susie thought about it, then quickly said, "Well, yes, if you would like that, sure." She gave him the directions to the phone booth and told him she would meet him at 9:30 tomorrow night. Back at Susie's house, her dad was reading a newspaper article. about a serial killer at large in their locality and the surrounding areas of the countryside around their village. He was worried she was out late and was just about to call the police when she had walked in the door. Susie felt a strange feeling. It was like she was in love. She felt it strange knowing that she hadn't even met the man, but still felt strangely in love with him. She told her sister about her meeting him tomorrow night. The next day, when Susie asked to go out, her dad said, "No way, you're not going anywhere tonight." Susie was mad until her sister had an idea that maybe he would allow both girls go to the cinema together. Rachel was going to the cinema while Susie would meet the man. Rachel said to Susie, "Look, Susie, I was thinking about this. Maybe it's a bad idea. You were going to meet this man. I mean, he could be anyone. He could be a madman for all we know." Susie laughed it off and said she would meet him and was sure he would be a really sweet guy. When Susie was on the bus, she heard a conversation between two people who were talking about a serial killer at large, a man who was targeting young women. Susie felt sick thinking of the stranger she was about to meet. She stayed on the bus and knew she couldn't go home, so she would go back to the cinema and join Rachel. But Rachel was worried about her sister and had already gone to meet her by the phone box. When Rachel was outside the phone box, she had been calling her sister's name, but all she could hear was her own echo. Suddenly a man walked out from the ditch and said, "Hello, Susie. It is so great to finally meet you." Rachel froze as the man went near her and she kicked him. The man said, "Oh, now, that's very nasty out of you, Susie. Very nasty indeed, and I have to punish you for that." He dragged her into his car and put her in the boot and shut it. Hello, my name is Martin. It was a sunny day in June. Me and my friends were visiting a local park where there was a very big house and a beautiful garden. The house was open up for visitors to look around, and there was a shop and even a restaurant. I am a huge fan of mazes, but was never in one in real life. I just did them in books and comics or wherever I came across one. The main reason I wanted to visit this park house was because I knew there was a maze there. When me and my friends arrived at the maze, I was so excited, but I felt that excitement drain away when my friends said they weren't going in because they heard a story that one time a boy our age went in there and was never seen again. I told them that it was just a silly urban legend that wasn't true, but they were adamant they weren't going in. I could see the fear in their eyes, and I couldn't understand why. I told them, okay, if you want to spoil the party, that's okay, but I'm going in and enjoying the maze. Besides, if anyone was going missing in there, don't you think we would have heard of a lot more people going missing? I walked in and was amazed at how high the ditches were. I could feel the excitement overcome me. I felt that my friends were missing out so much, but suddenly, after a half an hour walking around there, I felt for the first time a pang of fear, and a few minutes after that, I wish I hadn't gone in. I shouted out loud to my friends, but all I could hear was the echo of my voice fill the air. I suddenly got the weirdest feeling someone was watching me. I panicked, thinking it was the boy who vanished, who my friends were telling me about. I walked around and around and around. I had enough of the maze now. I wanted to get to the exit to get out of it. Suddenly, I heard some shouting, and to my relief, I realized it was my friend Sarah. When I got out of the maze, I acted like I wasn't afraid and said, "That maze is so cool. I was walking around for hours, it seemed like, and I genuinely couldn't find my way out. They must have designed this maze so well." That night I was in my room, but that was when the weirdest thing had happened. I walked out of my room, and when I walked into, which should have been my hall, I was in my room again. I suddenly saw a door in another direction, and once again when I entered it, I was in my room. This kept happening over and over and over. I could not make any sense of it, because I could look back and see my room, and turn around and look in the door and see my room again. I was panicking, thinking of the maze, knowing what was happening to me in there is happening to me right now in my own bedroom. Suddenly I fell over something when I was going through the door. It was a book. I picked it up, and the title read, "The Maze." I opened it up and read the first page, and a shiver ran up my spine. The publishing date was 2020, and the year at the time was 2010. I looked at the writer's name, and it was my best friend Sarah. Then I read, 10 years ago, my friend entered a maze that me and my friend warned him about, and he never was seen again. We had warned him of exactly the same thing happening another boy years ago, who we cannot find out who it is. I stopped reading, then jumped when I heard a voice behind me. I turned around. My dad was staring right in front of me and said, "Son, don't be afraid. That maze gave you a secret magic that will make up for any friends you may never have seen again. You will understand as time goes on. I know, trust me, I was that other boy that went missing." Sarah was looking forward to watch a movie called The Last Night on Earth that she was lent by her sister. It seemed to be a great horror movie, which Sarah loved. Any horror movie was her type of movie. She loved the suspense and the thrill of what could happen next. Sarah's best friend Louise was calling over to watch the movie in about 30 minutes. Sarah decided to have a quick shower, so she left a note on the dining room table saying she was in the shower and won't be long. When Sarah was in the shower, she was humming to her favourite Guns N' Roses song, Paradise City. She had a habit of singing or humming in the shower. A few minutes later, there was a knock on the shower door. Sarah shouted, "Hi Louise, thanks for letting me know you're there. I'll be down in 2 minutes." When Sarah was out of the shower, she heard a car pull up in her drive. She was shocked when she looked out the window, realizing Louise had just pulled into her driveway. It hit her suddenly. If Louise was just after pulling into her driveway, then who had just knocked at the shower door? A cold shiver ran up her spine, and suddenly a figure dressed in black stood in front of her and said, "I hope you enjoyed your last night on Earth," and shot her dead. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you want to stay up to date on new content, then please subscribe and be sure to hit the bell to be notified on new content. Sam was very disappointed one night when he was out for a walk and happened to come across a restaurant and was stunned to see his girlfriend Judy in there talking to another man. He thought of movies with scenes like this and wondered, was it something innocent, meeting like a platonic relationship and meeting up about work? But his hopes were dashed when she moved towards the man and kissed him on his lips. They weren't in each other's houses yet, not even up towards the door. Sam knew what he would do. He had done it before and got away with it, so there was nothing from stopping him from doing it now. The next day he met her, he made a date for her that night in a local bar. He was talking to her like there was nothing happened, like she was some honest person who would never cheat, but of course he knew himself the opposite was the truth. They were speaking in the bar, and to any outsider, they would have thought they were both enjoying each other's company. Sam was in an upbeat mood, but little did Judy know it wasn't because of her being in her company, it was because of what he had planned to do with her. They both walked home, and it was getting dusk. Sam thought Judy had money because her house was huge, but money wasn't important to him, and anyway he wasn't even in the house. They weren't even next to each other's door, just back a few yards, as if they were hiding some secret affair. But important to him was truth, honesty and loyalty more than any money. That was the most important thing Sam could have in any relationship. He kissed her goodnight and walked on. 10 minutes later he walked past her house and took out his very clever contraption he hid in a bush just down from her house. It was a gasoline can he would throw in her window and torch the house, and when it was ablaze he would make sure it would go up fast, because beforehand he would have doused the walls as much as he could with gasoline. He wasn't familiar with this neighbourhood and wouldn't even set foot in it only for Judy. He would have loved to have stood there watching the fire, but he knew he had to wait till the fire engine got there and join a crowd of onlookers and act like a shocked member of the public. 10 minutes later the crowd gathered and the fire engine, but he froze in shock when he saw Judy without a scratch speaking to a man. He then heard a person next to him say to another person, "That must have been a gang hit. That is the house of the biggest gang boss in town. There will be a war break out over this." Sam had just wondered, could it be that Judy was just pretending it was her house to impress him? He found out very soon she lived down the road in a very small house, and realised that sooner or later he will have the town, if not state's biggest gang, after him for the arson attack. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you enjoy the content then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new content. Jim was invited to a meeting with a huge TV station boss, and he was very nervous, but at the same time very excited. When he arrived at the office, he couldn't believe what he was about to hear. The boss spoke. "We can supply you with the answers to win and become the champion in the next episode of their Super Quiz Show. Now please don't tell your friend about what I said, because if you do, trust me, it won't work out good for you. I practically own the networks that have all the big shows on. So if you want to go with this plan, great, but if not, then just forget about it and don't tell anyone. Jim was speechless for a few seconds, but to him it felt like minutes. Then he finally spoke. You mean you want to give me the answers and win the show and become the champion and beat my friend and break his unbeatable streak? Brian said, yes, and don't forget, for each episode you will win $100,000. So, we will be giving you that for a good few months. In no time you'll be a millionaire. Jim was stuck in a rut, being out of a job and could really do with the money, and didn't want to pass up on the opportunity, so he took the deal. When he told his friend Daniel that he was going to be his opponent on the next show, he pretended he was picked out of the lottery they had every week for different opponents. When Daniel heard about it, he laughed, but didn't think much of it, because to him it would be just another great win. Jim was thinking about it at home while he was watching TV, and he wondered how it would make a difference to him being given the answers, as he could not see his friend Daniel not be able to answer any question, even if it went on for hours. He rang the number of the TV boss and asked him, and was told that they knew questions he didn't know the answers to. Jim didn't bother ask how they knew he wouldn't know, but he found it strange. On the night of the quiz show, they were asked loads of questions. It seemed like hundreds. Finally it came to the last question, and the host, Mr. Major, asked Jim, "Okay Jim, you are on your last question. If you get this right, then you are the winner of this series, which will knock the current Super Quiz champion off, and you will become the champion. The question is a riddle. What ship has 2 mates and no captain, and you broke it?" Jim found it strange, because he was never given the answer to this question. It was the first time he ever heard it. He could feel the sweat pouring from him and the heat of the lights shining down on him. Suddenly he felt he was going to faint when he looked over and saw his friend Daniel hold a gun to him and say, "I'll give you the answer. Friendship. You broke our friendship by taking that deal." Suddenly Jim heard the voice of the host. "Hello Jim, excuse me, are you okay? We are waiting for your final answer, which would entitle you to be the champion. Let me repeat the question. What is used to measure something, but also a king?" Jim answered, "A ruler." The crowd started clapping and applauding. Then everyone started screaming. He wondered why, and this time he knew he was awake. He saw Daniel hold a gun to him, screaming, "You're no friend of mine," and he shot him dead. Thanks for watching The Assassin Rapper, and if you enjoy the content, then make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of new content.